Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's HBAR Foundry Town Hall. I'm really excited to welcome all of these guests which we have here. We've got a really amazing mixture of Hedera talent who have basically they've shone in the Hedera Hackathon, and that is the purpose of this particular HBAR Foundry Town Hall. We want to put a spotlight into the success stories of developers and builders who have come through the most recent Hedera Hackathon. So just a bit of context before we get into the guests. I'll give a bit of background about myself and the HBAR Foundry in case you don't know. So I'm Jake. I go by J Cool sometimes. I'm a developer here on the Hedera ecosystem. I've been developing for about 3 years or so. And I've also entered some of these hackathons. I did have an entry myself in the previous one, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about these guys. On the side of HBAR Foundry, what is HBAR Foundry? It's a completely community-led, grassroots Hedera developer community. It was founded years and years ago now, probably about 4 or 5 years ago in lockdown during coronavirus. A few of the developers who've been around for a long time, a lot of them still with us, they started having these weekly meetups and gradually it's got more formal. We're now hosting these town halls. We've still got our weekly meetups. So I do just want to say, if you're interested in joining, you're a developer, you've got something to share, you want to build your network here at the Hedera Hashgraph within the community, check out hbarfoundry.com. You'll be able to see our calendar. We've recently added a really cool feature where you can actually, where you can see other top events, weekly events, weekly live streams, and you can also apply to have your own event put on our calendar. So if you have something like a YouTube stream, which happens every week, or you have a Twitter space, which happens every week, click on the hbarfoundry.com website and then fill in the form to get your event listed onto our calendar. Cool. Well, over to the guests now. Now, I mentioned earlier, these are 4 really diverse guests. We've got guests from Indonesia, Mexico, Brazil, and Netherlands. And I think it's just a real testament to how global and diverse the Hedera ecosystem is. I'm going to start off by inviting Annalise to the stage. And Annalise is going to tell us a bit more about her background and her project as well. What the submission was. And just before we begin, actually, if you are interested in finding more about the guests' projects, check out our Twitter. Yeah, we've got the link to the demos and the link to the decks in our most recent tweets. But Annalise, over to you, please. Please give us a bit of background about yourself, how you came to Hedera, and then we can go on to your recent hackathon submission.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Annalise, and I'm the developer of the HashPress Pioneers project. I've also participated in previous Hedera hackathons, starting 2 years ago. And this time I focused on making blockchain more accessible to everyday users by building 2 WordPress plugins. WordPress is a content management system that powers about 40% of all websites globally, including millions of online shops. So making it a platform that could benefit greatly from integrating blockchain solutions, of course. So my goal was in this hackathon to bring the benefits of the Hedera network directly to the billions of people who own a WordPress website, and including those with very small businesses and those without any technical knowledge. And indirectly also bring these solutions, of course, to all the users and visitors of all those websites. So the idea was simple. How can I make some of the solutions that Hedera offers easily accessible for billions of users? The first plugin I developed is called Hedera Pay. It simply adds the ability to pay on any WordPress website with an Hedera wallet using either HBAR or USDC. And this means that users can avoid the often costly third-party payment gateways and making transactions cheaper, faster, and less complex for both the paying and the receiving parties. The second plugin is RealViews. This plugin tackles the recent issue of fake AI-generated reviews, which is a growing problem across the internet, including on reputable platforms like Etsy, for example. Um, and RealViews allows users to write and read reviews that are verifiable. Each review is linked to a Hedera Pay transaction on the Hedera network and is stored in a smart contract, ensuring authenticity. And this way, users can trust that the reviews they see on a website are from real customers. And it also shows that the shop is committed to transparency and trust. And lastly, I want to add that I'm excited to continue exploring new ways to integrate the many other solutions there offers into WordPress. So if anyone has any other cool ideas about other solutions that I can integrate in WordPress, please let me know, and maybe I can build it in the future.
Well, there's a hackathon which is there's the second hackathon which is coming up. Annalise, do you think you'll be entering that one?
Yeah, I'm planning to. I don't have a very concrete idea or something yet, but I'm definitely planning to participate. And currently, I'm also still improving the current plugins, and I'm also planning to add other plugins.
Awesome. And Annalise, were you part of a team or was this a solo submission?
Um, I I submitted with a friend of mine. He's not a developer, but we did a lot of brainstorming and testing together. So everything that was not development related,
Yeah,
I did together with someone.
that's really great. Well, this is the first time I'd heard about RealViews. We'd spoken about Hedera Pay, but actually the RealViews idea is I think it's a really powerful solution which counters all of the bot activity which happens. I mean, so much stuff nowadays. It's like, especially with generative AI on the content side of things, we really don't know what is reality, what is not. So it's awesome to see that. And I guess my immediate thoughts in terms, it sounds like you're using the Hedera token service and the Hedera smart contract service.
Yeah.
Would you ever look at integrating the Hedera consensus service in some sort of way?
Yeah, that's definitely possible. And also, for example, NFTs would also be great if I could integrate that in WordPress.
Yeah. And then I guess once you go over there, you open into the whole world of tokenization, fractional ownership. It's really as we all know, but we're all building here in the ecosystem, the biggest challenges with blockchain is getting stuff on chain. And I think that segues us pretty nicely to Louise. Louise, do you mind if you give us a bit of background about your project? Well, no, let's start with a background about yourself, because I know you've been in the ecosystem for a while, but this is your first project. So if we could have a bit of background about yourself, and then we can go into your project, which is completely covering the real world asset tokenization in a really cool way.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you to the opportunity to be here. Well, my personal background, I have a graduation and master in administration, business management, but focusing in strategies and things like that. But I'm truly an entrepreneur. I like to do things since ages. I'm an entrepreneur since age. We were talking about, I'm over 50 years and I'm working more than 40 years old in the market doing things. This is a little bit of my background personal. I have been here in Hedera from the end of 19 to the beginning of 20, but as possible TS, as the majority of the people know me in the ecosystem, starts beginning 2021. Beginning of 2022, I joined the HBAR Suite team, and I continued there. And now I manage the Shibor network, the King Shibor project, the meme DAO. We just released a book for child. It's very interesting. Okay, that's enough. About Gemio, that's the objective of our talk here. I have a startup, and I work inside this market, the air compressor industry. Not just air compressor, but especially the air compressor industry. And I saw an opportunity because since the beginning, I was looking for what to do with in the real world with DLT technology. It's a very interesting thing, a very interesting technology. But I am a Web 2 guy, not a Web 3 at all. But so when I know Hedera and I say, this is something that we can use for real world applications. We have especially the costs, the fixed costs of the transactions, very small and fixed. This is very, very important for anyone trying to build a business model, a sustainable business model. We can afford to have your costs rises from one night to another to the other day. It's impossible to make plans like this. So using Hedera and HBAR Suite smart nodes technology, we are not using smart contracts in our at Gemio. And what we saw is we have a gap, like silos of information inside this industry. The manufacturer has some kind of information about the product. The owner of the product has another silo of information. The guy that made the maintenance of the system had another silo of information. But the information from the maintenance is not available to the manufacturer. So once the manufacturer, the industry, release the product in the world, nobody knows. He don't know what happened with this project, with this asset in their lifetime. So Gemio, the idea of Gemio is a tokenization, a real world asset tokenization in the first moment that will follow the life of this asset, real value assets. It's not any kind of asset. Because all the information that we collect in the field will be accessible to the industry to make improvements in the project and to understand how the customer is using this. To implement this flow or this ecosystem, the only way to do it is using DLT. There is no other way to do this and make things available to anyone, and at the same time protecting the privacy, and we can encrypt the data, and we can do very complex management of keys, multi-access, multi-sign transactions, and we can do it without DLT. So this is the purpose of the main purpose of Gemio, and in the future, once we do the tokenization of the assets, we open an avenue of new possibilities. We are all of this is inside our project, the future possibilities, but many others could appear during the process.
Mm. It's a really great concept, having that traceability of a very high value asset. I mean, I remember in our initial calls you mentioned that sometimes these air compressors can be up to millions and millions of dollars. So yes, having that provable trace of it's been fixed here, it's been used for over these periods of years. I can imagine it makes business decisions from people who are buying these units and using compressed air much clearer and easier. I've just got a quick question before we pass over to Cohen to discuss his project. But which other industries do you think would be suitable for this NFT tracking across the lifespan? What would be, in your experience, what would be the industries to go to?
The idea is any industry that have resale value or assets that you can resell in the future, like cars. We can do it with cars, of course. Here in Brazil, each car has their own document when you buy a car. And with this document, you can go to the bank and make a loan with this document. And the document now is property of the bank until you pay all your loans. So you can do this with a car, but we can do it with an asset that is much, much costly than the car. It's most valuable than a car. Because we don't have a certificate, we don't have a document. So if you give a document to this asset, you can do a lot of things, and real world assets enables a lot of new business models. It's we are just touching the surface of this.
Sure. Yeah. No, totally agree. And we'll definitely get into this conversation more. Especially after speaking with what Kelvin and Lewis are doing, because they're also powering a lot. But one thing which I just thought of when it came to the resale point is actually humans are funny, aren't we? Like weird things make particular items more valuable, and who knows? Maybe because that air compressor unit was being used for a Hollywood movie, it actually might increase the value later on down the line, or probably more the case with a car. If there's a proof that a car was part of a Hollywood movie set.
The history of the asset is very important.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's head over now to Kelvin, our friend from Indonesia. And Kelvin, let's do the same old questions. Tell us a bit more about yourself. I know that you entered this as a team, and also what XenHash is.
Hello everyone, I'm Kelvin, and I think if I introduce myself, I have a background as a founder of startup, but now I think I am as a Web3 developer, and now I think I am actively learn in decentralized technology, including blockchain, uh, DLT, and other related field in the various ecosystem like Ethereum, Hedera, Solana, and other ecosystem. And I think I'm happy to build project in the various ecosystem. And the last project that I built is XenHash, which is I use this project for the hackathon, the Hello Future hackathon. Basically, the XenHash is a Web3 app on the Hedera network that bridge digital assets with a daily microtransaction. So it allows a user to convert the hash bar into HIDR. So HIDR is a stable coin of Indonesia rupiah that backed or underlying with Indonesia rupiah. And XenHash actually want to make a payment, uh, seamless payment, uh, seamless payment using crypto, and but in our country in Indonesia that we do not allow using crypto directly, so we have to use uh, Indonesia rupiah as a official payment system, and because we have a very good payment system that we call QWays, is something standard that people just have to use their phone and scan to the QR code and pay from the bank. So it's the system is already integrated with all bank in Indonesia and also in some country in Southeast Asia. And what we want to aim with the XenHash is basically is for people want to do some transaction in their daily life using crypto without withdraw from the centralized exchange and do some P2P. So they have to more complex way, but with the XenHash, they just have to swap the crypto into stable coin of Indonesia rupiah and directly use this HIDR scan to scan to the merchant QR code and do the payment, and the payment will be settled. So basically, we see this project is a very good opportunity if we work in Hedera, because in Hedera that we know the fee, the network fee is a fixed. The network fee is a fixed, and if we talk about other network, maybe the fee will be very various in one day with the other day. But in the Hedera with the fixed cost, it can really help us to build this product. So basically, Hedera enable the how XenHash do the concept of the business in this case, something like that.
Well, it's really interesting. So this is the second time that the Hedera fixed fee has been highlighted as a key decision maker when it comes to adopting Hedera as the technology. Luis obviously made the really good point that when it comes to building a business model, you need to know what your costs are, and actually, it's for a business, it's better to have a predictable level of higher costs than variable costs, which may potentially be lower. Kelvin, I've just got a question regarding to you. So we've obviously got the fixed fees is a big advantage for Hedera. Given your experience with other blockchains like Ethereum and Solana, what other advantages made you think that Hedera might be a suitable option for XenHash?
I think I have a various perspective for that. I think for the other ecosystem like that I built before in Ethereum and in the Solana, I think there will be hard to do some transaction for the testnet, because if we do when we develop some product, of course we have to test the product, and when we want to test the product, we have to use some testnet token, right? And I think in Hedera it's very easy for us to get the voucher token and for us to try our product, and it's really represent the testnet is really represent the actual network do. So we don't have to worry. But however, if I thought based on my experience in other network, if I use some testnet token in my D app, but when it's a mainnet, the price will be very fluctuative, and it gives a different experience to our user. So basically, I think with the fixed cost of Hedera network is really helpful for the user experience, and our and me as a developer, it makes us easier to introduce our advantage of our product to our user. Maybe something like this.
No, it makes total sense. You've got the improved user experience with fixed fees, low fees as well, quick settlement, but then also the developer experience as a developer. And I'm in the complete same boat. When I do Ethereum development on Ethereum, and I've got to use Gurley or Sepolia, like it's much harder to get it. You've got to go through all of this KYC and prove you're a human just to get like 0.1 test ETH. So I totally agree. And after this, I'd recommend you have a look at the Hedera local node. So the local node is it's one of the offerings which Hedera has. It basically allows you to run the Hedera, everything that you need on Hedera, the mirror node, the actual token service, consensus service, all of that stuff, JSON RPC relay. It allows you to run it locally. You get 10 accounts which have 10,000 HBAR in. You can create more. You always get 10,000 HBAR, and it's really quick. If you're doing a JSON RPC, if you're doing some ethers tests, which are connecting to a actual testnet JSON RPC relay, it might take you a minute to run the tests. If you do it on the local node, and I've been doing this recently, 20 seconds. So it improves the developer experience as well. Okay, I've got a question, but I'll come back to it later on. Let's get the final guest, Luis, on, please. And Luis, I think you know the drill by now. Introduction to yourself and then introduction to the project as well, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Well, I'm part of Team Savera. My team and I are three actually engineers from the same university that met there. We are serial hackathoners, so we do a lot of these things. And along the way, we started, let's say, on cloud and Web 2, then moved on to IoT. Actually, we are like electrical and biomedical engineers. So we our main specialization is mostly in hardware. So, and that was actually our segue just to get us to Web3, because most of the demos at first from Web3 were done with IoT in mind. So that was like our first use case, and mostly Web3 is now fixed on DeFi payments and so forth. So we kind of adapted to the currents, and now here we are with Savera, which is a platform for payments, savings, and cards, designed specifically for the Hedera ecosystem to offer a complete and simple experience to users, right? And the main point of this, actually, one of the useful cases of Hedera for this project was, and again, we come again and again to this, is the predictable fees. Because the predictable fees features of the Hedera network, because at least for payments, whenever you are trying to pay for something in any network, via, even if it is Forex or anything, and you're using fiat, you need to have like fixed fees and predictable fees for this. And actually, what Hedera does, that is dollarizing a little bit of the currency and the transactions that you are using, is very helpful for an ecosystem or a region such as the one that we live in, which is, well, the Latin America region, specifically Mexico, when there's a huge amount of people that are unbanked, like in some cases even 50%, mostly between 30 and 40%, if we take a look at whole countries. But yeah, if you want to introduce a project that does a little bit more than the new banks and the traditional fintech banks are doing at the moment, you need to have these predictable fees, dollarize a little bit of the transaction that you are using, but at the same time provide the user with a little bit more. And that's what we were trying to do with Savera, having a very easy and just manageable user experience at first, and also not having the hassle to go and try to keep a private number and a mnemonic phrase, because it's very difficult for someone that is not bank really to just introduce themselves into the Web3 world and try to keep this and educate them is actually the next like bridge that we have to cross. So those were like the main challenges for the project that we are trying to come by.
Yeah.
And actually,
sorry, go ahead, Luis.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, I remember when we had our first chat, you said something which really, really impressed me about how the technology which you've built actually can integrate to existing point of sale devices, right? Could you go into that into a bit more detail? Because I think that is it's really, really innovative.
Yeah, actually, that's the main crux of the solution, because the last year we came up with a solution just to like try to roll up point of sale systems into everywhere, right? Try to sell them and to be like a point plus type of company that sells POS systems, right? And try to introduce crypto into it and several other blockchains. But what we came into trouble there was that the hardware business is very hard to get into. We are already in the hardware business by ourselves with another company that we manage, and it is very hard to do so. Importing something into countries such as ours is also very hard to do. So what we try to do this time is actually just to have like already existing infrastructure, develop on it, and to just roll up a wallet in this case. And with that wallet, you can also, we copied a little bit of the business model of certain neobanks that are already in business, that they are almost entirely digital, but they also roll up credit and debit cards into the user's hands so they can have some presence in the physical world. And that is the main point. And also what we're trying to do at this moment is actually to try to tokenize and make those cards into some RWA assets in the blockchain, in this case in the Hedera blockchain, which was kind of straightforward to do at this moment because the technology is quite up there. So yes.
Cool. And is this something which you're going to be continuing in the next hackathon, or do you have a different hackathon in mind? Because you did mention you and your team were serial hackathoners.
No, yeah, we're in for the next one, but
Nice.
we're still debating and brainstorming what to do for the next one. But I think we'll continue on developing this idea because it has been well received by both the crypto and the fintech side of things of both ecosystems. So yeah, I think we'll continue on that, but we might have like another project that we are working on, but we're still brainstorming and see what we might do for the next one, but we are in.
Well, I think there's definitely synergy with Nomid as well. Nomid is one of the projects from one of the core HBAR Foundry members, Milan. So definitely have a chat. And again, guys, for all of those watching, this is why the HBAR Foundry is a really good meeting point, because it helps you get that one-to-one connection with other builders who might have some overlap with what you're doing, whether it's going into different markets with the same product or looking for synergies and pivoting, iterating together. Cool. Well, yeah, that was really helpful. Let's go over to just more of a communal discussion then. And I think the key things which I want to get out of this group discussion is, first of all, highlight any experiences. I mean, I think for the broader Hedera community, we want to hear not just the good stuff, but actually what stuff could be done to make the community better, whether it be from a developer support perspective or whether it be from the technology perspective. The way that Hedera works is, as you know, it's open source, maintained by Hashgraph as well as open source contributors. But a lot of the time, if you have an idea, you create a Hedera improvement proposal, and actually there's a pretty good chance if it has support and governance behind it, it will become a reality. So I'd be keen to explore some of the learnings and some of the positives and the negatives, as well as a bit more about what's next for your projects. And yeah, let's start it off like that. So I guess the first question which I have for everyone, but it's probably more relevant to those who've developed on other blockchains. Have you considered building your product on another blockchain, or was it something which you found out about Hedera and Hedera just made sense? I think let's go for Luis. I'll ask you first then.
Which one?
Savera. I'll call Luis.
Possible.
Yeah. So yeah, we've tried with other blockchains because we are serial hackathoners, and we've done, as also like Kelvin mentioned, we've also dabbled with several other blockchains such as Solana, Ethereum, also Aptos, which is part of the Mica Alliance in turn with Hedera. I think the Mica Alliance is Ripple, Hedera, and Aptos. So we've tried with those. Most of them are dollarized, so predictable fees was like the crux of the decision there, because for payments and also like any type of transaction that incur in any legal ledger, not legal ledger or legal money, let's say. So we need to have like an anchor to the dollar or some other fiat coin that is not like that volatile, if we compare it to our the currencies that we have in several countries here in Latin America. Such, imagine if we try to to fix it to the Argentine peso or
Right,
something
and
like
it's
that.
changing every
It's
week.
impossible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done several projects in other chains. What we found was like predictable fees, at least for payments, make a lot of sense. It is difficult to, as Calvin and you already mentioned, it is very difficult to just have something on testnet in the EVM chains, all those like Ethereum base, Optimism, etc., etc. So to develop on those, I think they are more focused on DeFi, DAOs, and some other kind of applications for that ecosystems. And the other ones I think are also like with mobile systems, and for example, it's Solana with the phone that they are developing, and so forth. So Hedera makes a lot of sense here, and also that it has like a quick connections with the enterprise. Hedera, as you all know, already has a base in the enterprise and has developed a lot of chains and projects with the enterprise in mind. So that is also adaptable for our needs at the moment.
Yeah. And then, Kelvin, what about you? What's sort of been your journey to Hedera? How did you find it? How did you even hear about it? And was there anything? Well, I think you know what I'm trying to get at. Over to you, please.
Yeah, I think for my overall experience, I think it's my experience building in Hedera is exciting because it's a quite new to me for the Hasgrad technology DLT, and I learned a lot about how the technology works and the comparison with a blockchain, and I think Hedera makes me impressed how the ecosystem, how the technology, and how Hedera provide the complete documentation, guidance, and tutorial, and make for developer that already have experience in, let's say, in EVM and other network. Very easy to run the technology and build the project in the Hedera ecosystem. And also my experience that maybe I can share some a bad experience that I faced when I built in Hedera is maybe it's about the how for the EVM compatible. So basically, if Hedera and the EVM compatible, we have to make sure that when we build a product that compatible with the EVM, of course, we have to make sure the security between the native of the Hedera and the EVM infrastructure. We have to make sure that two part security is safe. So basically, I think Hedera have to provide more resources that teach the developer who want to build through the EVM compatible infrastructure could build safely and more secure. I think one thing that Hedera could be improved in the future. And but for the technology in Hedera, I think overall is very good, especially for the speed and the fee that very cheap that I already said. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think you mentioned obviously the EVM side of things, which is a big, it's a really big value proposition for developers who are coming from other ecosystems like Ethereum, other EVM-based ecosystems. But also, you touched on the native token service. What were your experiences with that, given it's probably quite new in your blockchain experience? Did you find the token service to be easy to use, or did you try to stay away from it and stick with EVM as much as you could?
Actually, I think I faced some challenges when I built the stable token. I get know about the Hedera has a stablecoin studio for the open source, and we can build the stablecoin very easy. It's super easy, but I faced some problem when how I implement that coin, that token to the smart contract that use EVM smart contract. What I mean is using Solidity.
Yeah.
Basically, because I create a swap system that swap hash bar to hash IDR, and I want to use that EVM. I mean, I want to use the smart contract, Solidity smart contract, and I faced some problem that how to make sure the smart contract code will work properly, especially for the security. Yeah, and I faced some a problem because lack of maybe the resources for that. But I think actually Hedera have that resource, but it's a little bit hard to find. So I request how we put something like more specifically about something the developer who want to build using EVM compatible, they have to concern some documentation so we can build more secure. Yeah.
Well, this is honestly for the Hedera community. This feedback is invaluable. This is exactly the stuff which we need. So we know which direction to head. And I think the ensuring that EVM contracts are secure it's something which everyone needs to do. Annalise, I'm going to ask you a few questions because Annalise has been in the ecosystem for a few years now. It's not her first Hedera hackathon. Quite interested in hearing, Annalise, what has your experience been in terms of how has the Hedera ecosystem changed since you first started contributing to the hackathons? What are your thoughts on that change? And if you've got any advice to share with the new guys?
I've seen a lot of change in only the last, I think I'm 2 years now developing on Hedera, or 3 maybe. But at that time, I believe, if I'm correct, smart contract technology was new, and it's just insane how fast the technology evolves in blockchain in general, I would say. And also about your previous question, Hedera was for me the first blockchain I got to know. I got introduced by a friend, and my experience with the first hackathon was really great. I got a lot of support from the community, and it really helped me complete my first project. So I'm really grateful for that. And also the documentation was a great help as well. So then after that hackathon, I also decided to do some other hackathons with other projects just for fun. So I tried to build similar things on Tron and Near, but it didn't go very well. Since then I only developing on Hedera.
Nice. That's really good. And I guess it's a really good point which you raised on how much new stuff has come out. And I guess, Kelvin, that's probably why it's difficult for you to find the documentation, because there's so many new features. It's like we're now trying to manage a library, but it can of course be done in a better way. So yeah, that's really cool. And actually, just to add a bit of extra color to what Annalise was saying, for those of you who have joined the Hedera ecosystem recently, there was a time years and years ago where NFTs weren't even a thing. So one of the companies who I've done a lot of work for, Go Mint, what they did was they actually created a non-fungible token out of a fungible token with a decimal of 1 or a decimal of 0, which is really interesting. But then NFTs did end up being rolled out. So it's a really interesting journey, and now we've got Hedera smart contract, we've got EVM compatibility, and it's only getting better and better. We've got really cool stuff with the Hedera consensus service. For those of you who haven't looked into the Hedera consensus service, I'd definitely look into it. It's one of my favorite parts of the Hedera hash graph. And there's some really cool community effort building standards, HCS 20, HCS 1, where now you can even add files, create sort of some pretty complex and really interesting use cases using the consensus service. I even saw recently one of the community members deployed a JavaScript package on the Hedera consensus service, so you can actually import it on your code, and it gets the data from the consensus service. So it's something which I thought was pretty cool. Luis, we've not heard from you in a while. You've also been in the Hedera ecosystem for a while, but I know this is your first project. Could you give us a bit of information about your Hedera journey, any experience in other blockchains as well? Or have you been Hedera through and through?
Yeah, I'm not a dev. I understand the technology, I understand the way the things are do. You can make things, of course, but we was talking about before. I'm a router. I took things here and send things there. I just do the logic, the business module, and okay. But Hedera has grown faster than I can imagine. I remember GoMint. I have some some NFTs that we can display at HashPress. Just the fungible token there, and so it's have been grown a lot. As a business owner, and as we always listen about the 100 years company. I think about how to keep this this network healthy. I'm not talking about HBAR. HBAR is different from Hedera. Hedera itself doesn't matter. At the end of the day, HBAR doesn't matter. We need the infrastructure working, and so we can do business inside this network. This is a concern I have, because at the end of the day, one thing could impact in the other, the sustainability of this network, and it's crucial. We need to feel more safe about it. The management of the infrastructure needs to be better. I know you have a governance. I know you have a team behind it. I know we are open sourcing the code, but it should be more clear to us in the other side doing business for the long term. And this is the only thing. Of course, there's technical issues, and I think it is normal in any network. We have something, we experience some bottlenecks. I don't know from the source of the bottlenecks, but we experience some bottlenecks. But far from we have in the beginning, we are we developed a lot. The network is growing faster in terms of projects, in terms of real business, and this is a very important thing. We can put our energy to work on our innovative ideas, and you know that we can do it using Hedera at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's a good point on ensuring the sustainability of the network, because ultimately, I think we all agree that the tech which it offers, it's unique. It's unique when compared to some other chains, and yeah, if for whatever reason it goes away, then there's a lot of opportunity which is missed.
Yeah.
Kelvin, I see you nodding your head. Have you got anything which you'd like to add to that? I've put you on the spot.
I think I totally agree with what Louis said, that for my experience, my first experience in Hedera is completely very, very smooth, I think. Even though I face some little bit bottleneck, but I think it's very, very smooth, because I think the community, when we face some bottleneck, when we ask how we to do this, how we to do that, the community is very, very open and tell us where is the open source documentation where we can solve our problem. And I think Hedera is a very good network for developer, rookie developer, I mean the beginner developer or the advanced developer, jump to this ecosystem and build their product. I think I agree with what we said.
Cool. Oh, that's again really great to hear. Just before we go on to some community questions which the audience have shared. Luis, I've got and this is Savera, Luis. I just want to follow up with what Kelvin was saying about the support which you received. Would you also come to a similar conclusion that the support within the community was good, or could it potentially been better, or actually was the documentation clear enough that you didn't even really need it?
It depends, because at least the documentation is well established and well written in comparison to several other chains, if we make that comparison or not. Because as you know, several other chains are not really basing all their efforts like in creating good documentation. So Hedera excels on that. And regarding infrastructure, I mean, Hedera has everything that you need to do for most of the use cases that you can come up with in blockchain, at least, with the exception, I would guess, a little bit on RWA, but that's the responsibility of actually the responsibility of the developer, actually, just to create something on that new frontier. Because I think at least what Hedera can excel for the foreseeable future is actually just tokenizing everything and getting everything into those RWA assets and base most of the projections for the future on that. Because at least to compete, let's say, with Ethereum, Uniswap, and some others on the DeFi front is very difficult.
Sure.
And that's not like the main crux of Hedera at this moment. I think we should focus on the on real world assets and also on several other applications that are trying to solve real world problems at first, and then maybe grow the ecosystem. But what I would guess as a main weakness of the Hedera ecosystem is actually the influx of developers. There are very little of us, so little in number. I mean, I think the quality is there, but we need to like incentivize more developers to just jump on Hedera. It was very, at least for developers that have developed on other chains, it's very easy just to like jump in and try to develop something here. So that's
cool.
Those are my 2 cents on that.
No, it's really insightful, and I'm all for the vision of actually getting stuff on chain, having stuff tokenized, and therefore be able to build and create platforms and applications of value exchange which haven't been created before. I'd recommend have a look at the Asset Tokenization Studios. It's come out pretty recently. That might be of interest to you, because it's another suite which helps, similar to the Stablecoin Studio, helps to come to life real world asset tokenization. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go over to some of the community questions now. We've got one from our fellow HBAR Foundry member, Jim. I'm just going to put his question on the screen. Luis, or possible, it's aimed at you. Would you be able to give a bit more context as to what you meant over here?
Infrastructure, when I talk about, because we need the network working. Infrastructure is the network itself, nodes, permissionless nodes maybe. We need this working and with enough throughput. I don't know if the smart contracts today are consuming too much resources of the network. We have facing some timeouts sometimes, some errors that are appearing. But okay, I know this is things that happens in sometimes in any network, in any computer system. And but I'm most worried about the future of this infrastructure. How will this build? We're gonna start to see big projects inside Hedera. Most of them using smart contracts. Of course, I'm sometimes in a little bit biased because I'm at smart node technology suite. So my mind flows a little bit to the not using smart contracts and using smart nodes, including to facilitate we bring another developers to Hedera, but not talking about it. Infrastructure is this. I'm building a business. Gemio, the idea of Gemio is to become something open source in the future, because we don't want silos, and I can't keep the product open if I keep it to me. I want that the owners of the assets has the power over the data, and I can't keep it to me. DPP as a digital product passport is a solution that will be enforced in Europe for the next years, and will be. I think that the way the companies are doing the DPP solution is proprietary, even if at Mayo is doing something that he's doing the idea of the product and are using the HCS to tokenize the asset. But the other things, they are not saving the data inside Hedera. I think it's made privately, or I'm not sure the detail, but seems to me. And the idea is Gemio just to put it publicly. All the data will be inside Hedera and will be open source.
Nice. Yeah, I think definitely, without doubt, when it comes to any sort of enterprise, global scale infrastructure, you need to have that availability. But I think, we all think Hedera can manage it. But let's get to that. Let's get to that point. I'm conscious of time. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Does anybody else want to share any of their thoughts? Mention anything which hasn't been mentioned yet before I give my closing statements? Please jump in and unmute yourself if there's anything which you want to add.
I'm cool. It was a great pleasure to be here.
And same with the questions in the audience as well. If you've got any questions, now's the time. Cool. Well, I think we've had I think we can probably start to wrap up. I've really enjoyed hosting you guys. Thanks a lot for coming on. I think just the fact that we've got literally developers from all around the world, it does demonstrate something positive. It does demonstrate something positive. I know in prior conversations which I've had, some of you guys mentioned actually that in other hackathons it's basically just a load of Americans. But actually on this call, there's not one American. There's not one guy from the US. So I love that. And I love my American friends as well, of course. But I do want to echo some of the key points, which is actually we've got the tech, but it's really getting that community. And probably most of us, we probably heard from Hedera. We heard about Hedera from our friends. So maybe one thing which we can do after leaving this call, just find another friend, tell them about Hedera, tell them about what you built on the hackathon. And who knows, maybe they'll be here for next year and they'll be on an HBAR Foundry town hall like this one.
Yeah, I already did it. Probably
Nice.
friends will become new hackathoners.
Good. Cool. Well, join us at the hbarfoundry.com. That's it from me today. And big thank you to all of our guests. We have all of the top developers and so many of them are actually new to the ecosystem. So yeah, it's been a real pleasure hosting you all. Peace out.
Okay.